In Chapter 1, The Riddle House, the villagers of Little Hangleton gossip about the mysterious deaths of the Riddle family 50 years ago. The family was found dead, and suspicion fell on their gardener, Frank Bryce, though he was never proven guilty. Frank, now elderly and crippled, continues to live in a cottage on the Riddle House grounds. One night, he notices lights in the abandoned house and believes the local boys have broken in. Frank investigates and overhears a conversation between two men, one of whom has a cold, high-pitched voice that sends chills down his spine. The men, referring to themselves as My Lord and Wormtail, discuss plans involving Harry Potter and mention the Quidditch World Cup. Frank realizes they are plotting murders and that the cold voice belongs to someone sinister. When Frank is discovered, the man in the chair reveals himself to be Lord Voldemort, who kills Frank with the killing curse. The chapter ends as Harry Potter wakes up unaware of the events. In Chapter 2, The Scar, Harry wakes from a vivid dream with a painful scar on his forehead. The dream involved Voldemort, Wormtail, and plans to kill someone, possibly Harry. He feels uneasy, suspecting Voldemort's presence despite being far away. Harry reflects on his life with the Dursleys, who treat him poorly, and his past experiences with danger at Hogwarts. His scar's pain is linked to Voldemort's proximity, yet Harry struggles with confusion, unsure of the meaning. He considers contacting his friends Ron and Hermione, but hesitates, unsure whether to share his concerns. He decides to write to Sirius, his godfather, who has been in hiding since escaping Azkaban. Despite the Dursleys' cold attitude, Harry's room is filled with his school supplies thanks to Sirius. Harry writes a letter to Sirius mentioning his scar pain and asking about cursed scars, before preparing for another day with his aunt and uncle. In Chapter 3, The Invitation, Harry has a tense breakfast with the Dursleys, who are on a strict diet for Dudley's weight. Despite their harsh treatment, Harry secretly defies the diet by receiving food from his friends, including sugar-free snacks from Hermione, rock cakes from Hagrid, and fruitcakes from Mrs. Weasley. Harry is then summoned to the living room by Uncle Vernon, who is furious about a letter from Mrs. Weasley inviting Harry to the Quidditch World Cup. After much tension, Uncle Vernon reluctantly agrees to let Harry go, fearing the consequences of refusing, especially after Harry mentions his godfather Sirius. Later, Harry receives another letter from Ron, confirming the details for the trip. Harry eagerly prepares to leave the Dursleys' home, feeling happy and excited, especially after receiving the approval to attend the World Cup and knowing he'll soon be away from his relatives. In Chapter 4, Back to the Burrow, Harry prepares to leave the Dursleys and head to the Weasleys for the rest of the summer. The Dursleys are tense and uncomfortable about the arrival of the Weasleys, especially since they know the Weasleys are wizards. Uncle Vernon tries to maintain control by dressing formally and being dismissive of magic, while Dudley is nervous due to his past encounter with wizards. At 5 p.m., the Weasleys are late, causing further frustration. When they finally arrive, Mr. Weasley uses flue powder to enter the house, causing a disaster and sending debris flying everywhere. Despite the chaos, Mr. Weasley remains cheerful and apologetic. Harry helps the Weasleys pack his trunk, and after a brief awkward moment with the Dursleys, Harry says goodbye. Just before he leaves, Dudley suffers from an engorgement charm prank by Fred, and the Dursleys panic. Harry escapes to the Weasleys' house, relieved. In Chapter 5, Weasley's Wizard Wheezes, Harry arrives at the Burrow and is welcomed by the Weasley family, including Bill and Charlie, the older brothers he has not met before. Fred and George excitedly show off their invention, Ton-Tongue Toffees, which causes Dudley's tongue to grow to 4 feet, leading to a confrontation between Mr. Weasley and his sons. After some tension, Harry is led upstairs to Ron's room, where they talk about Fred and George's joke shop, Weasley's Wizard Wheezes, and their inventions. Harry also meets Percy, who is absorbed in his ministry work. As dinner is served outside, the Weasley family talks animatedly about the upcoming Quidditch World Cup. Harry enjoys the evening, feeling content and at peace. Later, he shares a quiet conversation with Ron and Hermione about his godfather Sirius, but chooses not to worry them about his scar's pain or troubling dream. In Chapter 6, The Portkey, Harry is woken up early by Mrs. Weasley along with Ron, Fred, and George. After breakfast, Mr. Weasley talks to Harry about apparition, the magical method of teleporting, and shares a story about the dangers of splinching. The group prepares to leave for the Quidditch World Cup, but Fred and George are caught trying to sneak out Ton-Tongue Toffees, causing a scolding from Mrs. Weasley. They head to Stoatshead Hill, where Mr. Weasley explains the complex measures taken to prevent muggles from noticing the large gathering of wizards. They meet Amos Diggory and his son Cedric, and Harry feels uncomfortable with the attention his fame brings. Finally, they prepare to use a portkey, an old boot, to travel to the Quidditch World Cup site. With a sudden pull, Harry and the others are whisked away, landing in a new location, ready for the event. In Chapter 7, Bagman and Crouch, Harry and the Weasleys arrive at the Quidditch World Cup campsite, where they meet Muggle campsite manager Mr. Roberts and get settled in. Mr. Weasley discusses the complexities of keeping the event secret from Muggles, including using portkeys for transportation. The group encounters a wizard who uses a memory charm on Mr. Roberts to erase his memory of their conversation. At the campsite, Harry is amazed by the variety of magical tents and their extravagant decorations. They meet Cedric Diggory and his father Amos and discuss the upcoming match. The Weasleys and Harry purchase souvenirs including magical omnioculars and enjoy the bustling atmosphere. As the evening approaches, the excitement builds. A gong signals the start of the event and everyone heads toward the field, eager for the match to begin. The chapter captures the growing anticipation for the Quidditch World Cup. In Chapter 8, the Quidditch World Cup, Harry and the Weasleys make their way through a misty forest to the massive Quidditch Stadium, which seats 100,000 people. They reach the top box, where they meet Winky, a house elf, who serves a mysterious master. Harry, Ron, and Hermione enjoy the excitement of the World Cup, witnessing the extravagant teams, including the Vila and Leprechaun mascots, as well as the fierce competition between the Irish and Bulgarian teams. Victor Krum of Bulgaria captures the snitch, but Ireland wins with a significant lead. The match is intense, with both teams displaying incredible skill, but Bulgaria's loss is somewhat overshadowed by Krum's injuries and the chaotic behavior of the mascots. After the match, the teams receive their accolades, and Fred and George excitedly claim their winnings from Ludo Bagman, marking the end of a thrilling and action-packed day at the World Cup. In Chapter 9, The Dark Mark, the Weasley family returns to their campsite after the Quidditch World Cup, but their peaceful night is interrupted by screams and chaos. Harry, Ron, and Hermione witness masked wizards marching across the field, levitating people and causing destruction. A massive green skull, the Dark Mark, appears in the sky, triggering panic among the crowd. Mr. Weasley and Ministry wizards rush to handle the situation, and the trio hides in the woods. They encounter Draco Malfoy, who taunts them before they continue searching for Fred, George, and Ginny. Meanwhile, a house elf, Winky, is found holding Harry's wand, and she is accused of summoning the Dark Mark. However, Mr. Weasley and others believe she's innocent. The chapter ends with discussions about the Dark Mark's significance and its connection to Voldemort's supporters, the Death Eaters, leaving Harry with unsettling thoughts about the future. In Chapter 10, Mayhem at the Ministry, the Weasley family quickly departs from the Quidditch World Cup campsite after the chaos surrounding the Dark Mark. They return to the burrow, where Mrs. Weasley is anxiously awaiting their arrival, relieved to find them safe. The family discusses the aftermath, including a scathing article in the Daily Prophet by Rita Skeeter blaming the Ministry for the security failure. Mr. Weasley is tasked with smoothing things over at the Ministry, while Percy remains busy handling complaints. At home, tensions rise over the treatment of House Elf Winky, and Hermione protests the mistreatment of non-human creatures. Meanwhile, Harry continues to worry about his Scar's recent pain and the mysterious reappearance of Voldemort's Dark Mark. The chapter ends with the family preparing for the upcoming term at Hogwarts, and Ron's reluctance to wear his new dress robes, much to his mother's frustration. In Chapter 11, aboard the Hogwarts Express, the Weasleys prepare for their return to Hogwarts amid the aftermath of the Quidditch World Cup's chaos. Mr. Weasley is called into work early, dealing with the fallout from Mad-Eye Moody's explosive dustbin incident. As the family heads to King's Cross, Harry, Ron, and Hermione experience a chaotic journey with Pigwidgeon, causing a ruckus in the Muggle taxis. At the station, they board the Hogwarts Express, where they hear about the upcoming Triwizard Tournament. Draco Malfoy taunts Ron about his second-hand dress robes and hints at a Ministry competition, further angering Ron. The train ride is filled with tension as Malfoy's insults rattle Ron, and Hermione tries to soothe him. Upon arrival at Hogwarts, the students brave heavy rain, greeted by Hagrid, and travel to the castle in horseless carriages, setting the stage for the exciting year ahead. In Chapter 12, the Triwizard Tournament, Harry and his friends arrive at Hogwarts amidst a storm. They are greeted with mischief from Peeves the poltergeist, who bombs them with water balloons before Professor McGonagall intervenes. Inside the Great Hall, the sorting ceremony begins, and Harry, Ron, and Hermione watch as first years join their respective houses. Among the new students is Colin Creevy's younger brother, Dennis. The Sorting Hat sings its annual song, and Dumbledore announces the Triwizard Tournament will return to Hogwarts after a century-long hiatus. This event, once abandoned due to high mortality rates, will feature champions from 3 wizarding schools: Hogwarts, Beauxbatons, and Durmstrang. The competition will have 3 dangerous tasks, and only students 17 or older are eligible. As excitement builds, Fred and George discuss ways to bypass the age restriction. That night, the boys retire to Gryffindor Tower, where Ron muses about entering the tournament while Harry dreams of victory. In Chapter 13, Mad-Eye Moody, Harry, Ron, and Hermione start their first lessons of the year. After a wet morning, they attend herbology with Hufflepuff, where they handle bubotubers to collect their valuable pus. Later, they join Hagrid's Care of Magical Creatures class and meet the dangerous blast-ended Scroots, which are a mix of dangerous and bizarre creatures. Malfoy mocks the creatures, but Hermione defends their value. Afterward, in divination, Professor Trelawney predicts Harry's future doom, but he remains skeptical. During lunch, Malfoy taunts Ron with a humiliating article about his father in the Daily Prophet, further angering Ron. In the entrance hall, a confrontation with Malfoy leads to an explosive moment when Professor Moody, the new Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher, uses magic to punish Malfoy, turning him into a bouncing ferret. The students are both horrified and amused. Harry and Ron eagerly anticipate their upcoming lessons with Moody. In Chapter 14, The Unforgivable Curses, Harry, Ron, and Hermione attend Moody's first lesson, where he teaches them about the Unforgivable Curses, the Imperious Curse, the Cruciatus Curse, and the Avada Kedavra, Killing Curse. Moody demonstrates each curse using spiders, showing the class their dangerous effects, including how the Killing Curse instantly kills. He emphasizes the importance of being prepared to defend against them, urging constant vigilance. After class, Harry, Ron, and Hermione reflect on the lesson, and Ron is excited about Moody's teachings, while Hermione remains concerned about the curse demonstrations. Later, Ron, Harry, and Hermione make up predictions for divination, while Hermione unveils her new campaign for house elf rights, called Spew. Harry receives a letter from Sirius, who is flying north after hearing about Harry's scar, but Harry regrets telling him. He feels responsible if Sirius gets caught and struggles with his worries. In Chapter 15, Beauxbaton and Durmstrang, Harry regrets his letter to Sirius, but receives a response urging him to stay safe and be vigilant. Harry's defense against the dark arts class with Moody intensifies as Moody demonstrates the Imperious Curse on the students, making them perform strange actions. Harry manages to resist its full effects, earning Moody's praise. Meanwhile, lessons grow more demanding as OWL preparation begins, with professors increasing the workload. Hagrid's blast-ended Scroots continue to grow, and Draco Malfoy faces the consequences of angering Hagrid. On the evening of October 30th, the Hogwarts students eagerly await the arrival of the Triwizard Tournament delegations. First, Madame Maxime and the students of Beauxbaton arrive in a massive flying carriage drawn by winged horses. Then, the Durmstrang students arrive via a ship rising from the lake, and Victor Krum, the famous Quidditch player, is revealed to be one of their students. In Chapter 16, The Goblet of Fire, the Triwizard Tournament kicks off with excitement in the air. The foreign delegations from Beauxbatons and Durmstrang settle into Hogwarts. Victor Krum, a famous Quidditch player, causes a stir among the students, with Ron particularly starstruck. At the Halloween feast, Dumbledore introduces the Goblet of Fire, which will select the 3 champions for the tournament. Each student wishing to compete must submit their name into the goblet. The goblet chooses Victor Krum for Durmstrang, Fleur Delacour for Beauxbaton, and Cedric Diggory for Hogwarts. However, after the selections are made, the goblet unexpectedly spits out another name, Harry Potter. The hall falls silent as Dumbledore announces Harry's name, leaving him and the others shocked. The plot thickens as the goblet's decision creates confusion and raises questions about Harry's unintended participation in the tournament. In Chapter 17, The 4 Champions, Harry is stunned when his name is unexpectedly chosen by the Goblet of Fire as a 4th Triwizard champion, despite being underage and not entering. As the hall buzzes with disbelief, Harry is taken to a private room where the other champions, Victor Crumb, Cedric Diggory, and Fleur Delacour, react with shock. Ludo Bagman insists Harry must compete, as the Goblet's decision is final. The professors, especially Madame Maxime and Karkaroff, question the situation, suspecting a mistake or foul play, but Dumbledore defends the Goblet's choice. Harry, bewildered, is told he must participate, and the rules for the tournament are explained. Later, in Gryffindor Tower, Harry is met with mixed reactions, especially from Ron, who seems suspicious of Harry's denials. Ron's skeptical attitude and the gossip in the common room add to Harry's frustration as he tries to convince everyone that he didn't put his name in. In Chapter 18, The Weighing of the Wands, Harry wakes up feeling miserable and misunderstood after being unexpectedly selected as a Triwizard champion. He confides in Hermione, who believes him, but Ron is still distant and jealous. Harry writes to Sirius explaining his situation and avoids further tension with Ron. At the wand-weighing ceremony, Harry, Cedric, Fleur, and Crumb are inspected by Ollivander, who checks their wands. During the ceremony, Harry is distracted by Rita Skeeter's invasive questioning. She tries to manipulate Harry's responses for a story, but he remains firm in denying his involvement in the tournament's entry. After the ceremony, Harry faces more public attention, with the school split between supporting him and feeling resentful. At dinner, Harry receives a letter from Sirius urging him to meet privately, hinting at the danger surrounding his unexpected participation in the tournament. In Chapter 19, The Hungarian Horntail, Harry's anxiety grows as the first task of the Triwizard Tournament approaches. He struggles with the stress of the situation, especially after Rita Skeeter's fabricated article about him in the Daily Prophet, making him a target for ridicule. Tensions also mount with Ron, who still doesn't believe Harry's story about not entering the tournament. Hermione tries to mediate, but their friendship is strained. Harry finds some relief when he secretly visits Hogsmeade with Hermione, wearing his invisibility cloak, but is still haunted by the looming danger of the first task. Later, Hagrid shows Harry and Madame Maxime the dragons that will be part of the challenge, including the dangerous Hungarian Horntail. Afterward, Harry sneaks away to meet Sirius, who warns him about Karkaroff and the potential danger from the Death Eaters. The chapter ends with a confrontation between Harry and Ron, deepening their rift. In Chapter 20, The First Task, Harry faces the first task of the Triwizard Tournament, a dragon. He spends the morning preparing with Hermione, who helps him practice the summoning charm. Harry has learned to summon objects, which he hopes will help him with the task. He also informs Cedric Diggory about the dragons, ensuring that all the champions are prepared. When the task begins, Harry faces the Hungarian Horntail, using his firebolt to fly and retrieve the golden egg. After a tense and dangerous encounter, he successfully grabs the egg and lands to applause. The judges award him scores, with Karkaroff giving him a disappointing 4. Harry's score is a 10 from Bagman, leading to a tie with Crumb. Later, Bagman reveals the next task will be on February 24th, and the golden egg contains a clue to its nature. As Harry walks back, Rita Skeeter tries to interview him, but he dismisses her angrily. In Chapter 21, the House Elf Liberation Front, Harry, Ron, and Hermione visit the Owlery so Harry can send a letter to Sirius about surviving the first task. Harry also fills Ron in on Sirius's revelations about Karkaroff, confirming he was a former Death Eater. Afterward, the trio heads to Gryffindor Tower, where Fred and George throw Harry a celebration. During the party, Harry opens the golden egg he won, only to hear a horrifying wail. Hermione and the others speculate on what the sound could mean for the second task. Later, Hermione leads Harry and Ron to the kitchens, where they meet Dobby, who now works at Hogwarts after being freed. Dobby shares his joy about being paid and free, while Winky, who was also freed, is devastated. She continues to mourn her former master, Mr. Crouch. The chapter ends with Harry and Ron contemplating the House Elf's future at Hogwarts and their newfound freedom. In Chapter 22, The Unexpected Task, Professor McGonagall announces the upcoming Yule Ball, a mandatory event for champions, where they must each find a partner for the opening dance. Harry, nervous about asking someone, struggles with the pressure. As he navigates the social dynamics of the ball, he faces unexpected attention from girls, including a third-year Hufflepuff and a fifth-year who both ask him to the ball. However, Harry is set on asking Cho Chang, but when he finally musters the courage, she turns him down, revealing that she is going with Cedric Diggory. Harry is disappointed, but tries to shake it off. Meanwhile, Ron faces his own embarrassment after asking Fleur Delacour to the ball, only to be rejected. The chapter ends with Harry securing a date with Parvati Patil, and Parvati offering to ask her sister Padma to go with Ron, relieving their awkwardness ahead of the ball. In Chapter 23, the Yule Ball, Harry, Ron, and Hermione enjoy the lead up to Christmas with their friends, despite the heavy workload. The castle is decorated festively, and Gryffindor Tower is lively. As the Yule Ball approaches, Harry is still adjusting to the social dynamics, especially with Hermione, who has noticeably changed her appearance. At the ball, Harry is paired with Parvati and Ron is with Padma. As they enter the Great Hall, they are greeted with cheers, and Harry is surprised to see Hermione with Victor Krum, who is charming her. Tension builds when Ron and Hermione argue about Krum, with Ron's jealousy showing. After the ball, Harry receives strange advice from Cedric Diggory about using the prefect's bathroom to solve the mystery of his golden egg. When Harry returns to Gryffindor Tower, he finds Ron and Hermione in the midst of a heated argument, and Hermione storms off, leaving Ron confused. Harry feels the tension in their friendship, but remains quiet. In Chapter 24, Rita Skeeter's scoop, Harry, Ron, and Hermione discuss Hagrid's half-giant heritage after overhearing a conversation between Hagrid and Madame Maxime. While Ron is shocked, Hermione remains unbothered, calling out the prejudice against giants. The trio returns to their schoolwork, with Harry still struggling to decipher the clue in the golden egg. In Care of Magical Creatures, they meet Professor Grubbly Plank, who temporarily replaces Hagrid and introduces them to a unicorn. Meanwhile, Draco Malfoy taunts Harry about Hagrid's secret, revealing a scandalous article by Rita Skeeter that exposes Hagrid as a half-giant. Harry's furious, but doesn't believe Hagrid shared this with Skeeter. The trio visits Hagrid, where Dumbledore convinces Hagrid to return to teaching. Hagrid shares a photo of his father, and Harry promises to win the Triwizard Tournament to show that being different is no shame. Despite his determination, Harry remains burdened by the unsolved egg mystery. In Chapter 25, The Egg in the Eye, Harry sneaks into the prefect's bathroom at night to solve the mystery of the golden egg, using his invisibility cloak and the Marauder's map. To avoid detection, he finally opens the egg underwater, revealing a haunting song. Myrtle helps him figure out that the clue refers to the merpeople in the lake. While reflecting on this, Harry hears Filch and Snape approaching, nearly getting caught. However, Mad-Eye Moody saves him by distracting Snape, who starts suspecting Harry. Moody later examines the Marauder's map, learning about Mr. Crouch's mysterious actions, and reveals he's been investigating dark wizards. Moody also borrows the map from Harry, suggesting he might use it in his work. Harry returns to Gryffindor Tower, pondering the strange events surrounding Crouch and Snape, and considering his future after Moody hints at a potential career as an Auror. In Chapter 26, the second task, Harry, Ron, and Hermione discuss Snape, Moody, and Crouch during Charms class, with Harry trying to fine-tune the clue from the golden egg. Harry continues to struggle with how to survive underwater for the second task. Despite searching through many books, he finds no solution. Dobby appears and gives Harry gillyweed, which will allow him to breathe underwater. Harry races to the lake, where he faces merpeople and Grindylows, rescuing Ron and a small girl from the depths. After an exhausting swim, Harry surfaces and learns that Fleur failed. Cedric barely made it, and Krum used Transfiguration to succeed. Harry receives 45 points, tying with Cedric. The chapter ends with Harry relieved, but the competition isn't over yet. The third task is set for June, and Harry reflects on how the second task went. In Chapter 27, Padfoot returns, Harry, Ron, and Hermione navigate the aftermath of the second task, with Ron relishing the attention he's getting for his version of events. Harry receives a brief letter from Sirius asking him to meet in Hogsmeade. When they arrive, Sirius, in his animagus form as a dog, leads them up a mountain to a cave where Buckbeak is tethered. Sirius, now in human form, shares his concerns about Barty Crouch's odd behavior and his family's tragic past. He reveals that Crouch's son was sent to Azkaban by his father, and his harsh methods led to his downfall. Sirius discusses the strange circumstances surrounding Crouch's behavior and his possible involvement with the Darkmark. Harry also learns that Crouch's son died in Azkaban, deepening the mystery. Sirius warns Harry not to leave Hogwarts without permission, and they return to school reflecting on the dark secrets surrounding Crouch. In Chapter 28, the madness of Mr. Crouch, Harry, Ron, and Hermione send a letter to Percy about Mr. Crouch's strange behavior and visit the house elves. Dobby is delighted with his new socks, but Winky is in a dire state, drunk and pining for Mr. Crouch. She hints that Crouch has been keeping secret matters from the Ministry. Later, Harry encounters Victor Crumb, who asks about his relationship with Hermione. Their conversation is interrupted when Mr. Crouch, disheveled and acting erratically, stumbles out of the forest. He speaks incoherently, mentioning Voldemort, Bertha Jorkins, and his son. Harry leaves to get help, but when he returns with Dumbledore, Mr. Crouch is gone. Crumb, who was left with him, is found unconscious. Dumbledore orders immediate action, while Karkaroff accuses Dumbledore of foul play. Harry returns to the castle with Hagrid, who is upset with both Karkaroff's accusations and Harry's actions, particularly his involvement with Crumb. In Chapter 29, The Dream, Harry, Ron, and Hermione discuss the mysterious events surrounding Mr. Crouch's appearance and his strange behavior. They debate whether Crouch attacked Victor Crumb or if someone else was involved. As they send a letter to Sirius, Fred and George arrive, seemingly hiding a blackmail plot, though they deny it. Harry reflects on the surreal encounter with Crouch and his odd messages, particularly about Voldemort growing stronger. After a slow day at school, Harry experiences a vivid and painful dream, where he witnesses Voldemort torturing Wormtail and discussing Harry's impending fate. Awakened with pain from his scar, Harry rushes to Dumbledore's office, but the password for the entrance stumps him. Once inside, he overhears a conversation between Dumbledore, Fudge, and Moody, discussing the mysterious disappearances of Crouch and Bertha Jorkins. Harry then interrupts, anxious to speak to Dumbledore about his troubling vision. In Chapter 30, The Pensieve, Harry meets with Dumbledore, Fudge, and Moody in Dumbledore's office. After a brief conversation, Harry notices a mysterious pensieve, a device for viewing memories, in Dumbledore's cabinet. Upon probing it, Harry is transported into a memory where he witnesses a trial with various Death Eaters, including Karkaroff and Bagman. Karkaroff offers names of fellow Death Eaters, but his credibility is questioned. The memory shifts, revealing a different trial where Crouch's son is convicted for torturing Frank Longbottom. Harry learns that Neville's parents were also tortured by Death Eaters, rendering them insane. Dumbledore explains that the scar connection between Harry and Voldemort might be tied to intense surges of hatred. Harry then asks about Snape's past, and Dumbledore remains firm that the matter is private. The chapter ends with Harry leaving the office, now aware of the deeper connections between the past and present events. In Chapter 31, the third task, Harry, Ron, and Hermione prepare for the final Triwizard Tournament task, practicing hexes and discussing troubling events. As June 24th arrives, Harry feels more confident due to his preparation. However, a shocking article by Rita Skeeter paints Harry as dangerous, spreading rumors about his behavior and hinting at connections to dark magic. The day of the task, Harry's friends, including Mrs. Weasley and Bill, join him in the chamber to meet their families before the competition begins. Despite nervousness, Harry feels a sense of camaraderie with Cedric, and the task commences in a transformed maze on the Quidditch field. Harry faces various obstacles, including blast-ended Scroots and Dementors, and helps Cedric when he's attacked. They both reach the Triwizard Cup, and in a moment of mutual respect agree to take it together, marking a tie. However, as they grab the cup, they are unexpectedly transported somewhere else. In Chapter 32, Flesh, Blood, and Bone, Harry and Cedric are transported by the Triwizard Cup to a dark, eerie graveyard far from Hogwarts. After a brief, uneasy silence, they encounter Wormtail, who ties Harry to a headstone and prepares a dark ritual. Harry watches in horror as Wormtail performs a series of twisted actions, culminating in the resurrection of Lord Voldemort. First, a dark creature resembling a human child is revealed from beneath the robes, and then a cauldron filled with a bubbling potion is used. Voldemort's rise is marked by a chilling moment where Harry realizes that Voldemort is reborn, and the familiar, terrifying face of the Dark Lord stares back at him. This marks Voldemort's return to power, signaling a terrifying new chapter for Harry and the wizarding world. In Chapter 33, The Death Eaters, Voldemort, now fully restored, relives his painful return to power, explaining how he survived after being reduced to a powerless state. His body is rebuilt with the help of dark magic, requiring 3 key ingredients: his father's bone, a servant's flesh, Wormtail's, and the blood of a foe, Harry Potter's. Voldemort reveals how he used a Death Eater inside Hogwarts to ensure Harry's participation in the Triwizard Tournament, manipulating events to get Harry to the graveyard. As Voldemort addresses his Death Eaters, he mocks their previous abandonment and demands loyalty. He tortures one Death Eater with the Cruciatus Curse for showing guilt. Voldemort emphasizes his power, intending to kill Harry in front of the assembled Death Eaters to prove his superiority. Harry, bound and helpless, faces unbearable pain and awaits his inevitable confrontation with Voldemort, who orders Wormtail to untie him and give him back his wand. In Chapter 34, Priori Incantatem, Harry faces Voldemort in a duel after being freed from the ropes by Wormtail. Voldemort tortures Harry with the Cruciatus Curse and Imperious Curse, trying to force him to submit, but Harry resists. Their wands connect, creating a golden thread of light that links them. As the wands vibrate, Harry hears a phoenix song and witnesses the emergence of ghostly figures from Voldemort's wand, including Cedric, Bertha Jorkins, and Harry's parents. They encourage Harry to escape before the connection breaks. After a tense struggle, Harry pulls away from the connection and runs to Cedric's body, dodging curses from the Death Eaters. He grabs Cedric's arm and uses the Accio spell to summon the Triwizard Cup, which acts as a portkey, transporting Harry and Cedric back to Hogwarts just as Voldemort screams in fury. In Chapter 35, Veritaserum, Harry is disoriented and in shock after returning to Hogwarts with Cedric's body. Dumbledore and others rush to him, but he struggles to process what happened. Mad-Eye Moody, revealed as an imposter, had been controlling events using Polyjuice Potion to disguise himself as the real Moody. Harry learns that Barty Crouch Jr. had been imprisoned in Azkaban, but his mother smuggled him out using Polyjuice Potion. Crouch spent years under the Imperious Curse, secretly serving Voldemort. He manipulated the Triwizard Tournament and used the portkey to bring Harry to Voldemort. After being captured, Crouch confesses to killing his father, who had been trying to stop him, and burying his body in front of Hagrid's cabin. Dumbledore listens carefully, understanding the full extent of the plot to resurrect Voldemort, and Crouch eagerly anticipates Voldemort's return to power. In Chapter 36, The Parting of the Ways, Dumbledore and Harry meet in his office after the ordeal with Barty Crouch Jr. and the Triwizard Tournament. Dumbledore takes charge, instructing McGonagall and Snape to handle the aftermath, while Harry begins recounting the events of the night. Harry describes Voldemort's return to power, and the horrifying details, including Cedric's death and the emergence of figures from Voldemort's wand. Dumbledore explains the connection between Harry's and Voldemort's wands, resulting in Priori Incantatem, the reverse spell effect that brought back shadows of victims. As Fudge refuses to believe Voldemort's return, Dumbledore warns of the dangers ahead and stresses the need for unity. Sirius and Snape are assigned important tasks, and Harry, still emotionally shaken, is sent to the hospital wing. He receives comfort from Mrs. Weasley before falling into a deep, dreamless sleep, avoiding the painful memories of the night.